Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the all-new 2023 Nissan 400Z, the Nissan Z, whatever you want to call it, Nismo. Yes, we are finally going to be talking about the Nismo version of the new Z. And so with all that being said, let's hop right into the video. So you guys can remember that Nissan recently released the specs and everything on the new 400Z or the new Nissan Z, and actually got a chance to review one in August. If you guys haven't seen that video, just go look up Ben Hardy Nissan Z and it'll pop right up. So it's really cool to be able to see it in person, sit in it, and all that kind of stuff started up. But anyways, Nissan is already obviously working on different versions of the Z, even though they haven't fully released the regular Z to the public, and that includes the Nismo. So Nissan recently had a couple cars at the Tokyo Auto Salon. I love how they call it auto salons instead of auto shows over in Japan. And one of the cars they had there was just this crazy bright orange Z that they put a bunch of aftermarket accessories on, and I'll include some pictures of that in today's video. But you guys can see it's got these aggressive fender flares. It's got these really nice blacked out wheels. You guys can see on the center of the hood how that's all blacked out, and it just has this really cool blacked out theme to it, and it looks really aggressive, and it also has really sticky tires on it. And then on top of that, it's got a pretty oversized spoiler in the back end. And they just have all these little things on it that make it look a little bit more aggressive. It looks like there's like a black stripe down the side of it as well. They didn't really do much with the interior. It looks like it's mostly just exterior bits to kind of add to the aggression of the Z, even though I think stock, it just already looks like a really cool car. But Nissan basically said that this is them testing the water to see what buyers like. And I think that this is kind of them, putting out the Nismo version without officially putting out the Nismo version, if that makes sense. So that kind of took the Z, made it a lot more aggressive, and they're seeing how people like that. And then, based on what people are saying about this car, will determine if they're going to make the Nismo like that or if they're going to kind of tone it down a little bit. And so it's kind of a very clever way to release a car, see what people think about it, and then officially release it in a little bit. But we first have to talk about the specs on the current Z to go over what the specs are going to be on the Nismo version. So the Z has 400 horsepower. It's going to have two different transmissions as an option from the factory, 6-speed manual and then also a 9-speed automatic. And the automatic's actually going to be pretty good with the Z. It's going to be very similar to what you have in the Toyota Supra in terms of the shift times and just the overall response of the transmission. So that's going to be great. And then obviously being able to get a manual is going to be amazing. And then torque's going to be about 350 pound-feet. So it's very similar to the Supra in terms of horsepower, torque. But the big advantage with the Z is you can get a manual, whereas in the Supra, it's only automatic. So that kind of sets it aside. Now, as for the Nismo version, what Nissan has done in the past with Nismos is they basically just bump up the power. And, in regards to the Z and then, the GTR, it's kind of like, okay, maybe add some carbon fiber bits, right? The GTR especially, tons of carbon fiber bits, but, make it just more aggressive, right? Larger spoiler, and, maybe with the Z, they'll add wider tires, just stuff that'll make it so it's a little bit more track focused, again, a little bit more on the aggressive side. And then obviously, again, like I said, increasing the horsepower slightly. What I would kind of expect is not a huge bump. In the past, Nismos would get like 10, 15 more horsepower. I would say this is probably going to be a similar thing where it's going to get, maybe since this engine's turbocharged now, maybe it'll get like 25 to maybe 50 more horsepower. It's going to be more, but it's not going to be like a huge jump where you get like 100, 200 more horsepower out of the Nismo version. But yeah, like I said, this little prototype they brought to the auto salon, I think is it gives us a pretty good idea of what the Nismo version is going to look like and kind of what they're going for. So, more aggressive styling in terms of, having, again, look, this version has a larger spoiler. It's got the fender flares. It's got the larger tires and wheels. And yeah, it's just a pretty crazy looking car overall. And obviously in a bright color. Nissan loves bright colors, and I love bright colors. So it works. But anyways, I guess we'll get into the opinions section. So first off, I think it's great that they are testing the waters. And I think this is, again, I think it's so clever that they released this just, aftermarket concept thing, right, at an auto show to see what people are liking before they officially release a new package on a car. I think that is just, again, the smartest thing ever because it doesn't make them look bad in any way. They're like, hey, this is just this thing that we put together, whatever. And then if people really like it, then they go, oh, by the way, that is actually the new Nismo, right? Super, super smart stuff happening from Nissan from a marketing perspective. So I definitely dig that. I think this thing looks cool. I'm really excited about the new Z in general, just like the base car, right? Because it's going to be more affordable than the Supra. It's going to have just as much power, manual transmission. So you guys know I'm already a huge fan, and I'm super excited to be able to drive one in the near future. I've been talking to Nissan about that, so look forward to that on the main channel. But yeah, a Nismo version I think would be fantastic. And because the Z is going to be so much less expensive than the Supra, the Nismo version is probably going to be pretty similar in price to a loaded up Supra right now. But it's going to have more power than the Supra because the regular Z already has more horsepower than the Supra. And then on top of that, manual transmission, and that'll be probably the sports car to get, to be honest, because the performance will be there, the manual transmission fun will be there, the looks will be there with the Nismo. Like I said, the base Z looks amazing already, but the Nismo, right, it's going to bring things up a little bit, going to make it look a little bit more aggressive, and then it's not going to be crazy expensive. It's going to be something that's actually attainable for a person with a regular job and, you know, a regular salary, right? I imagine since the Z is probably going to start, and this is just my personal guess, right? We don't have official pricing yet, but it's probably going to start somewhere in the high 30s, low 40s for a base Z, somewhere in that range. And then loaded up, it's probably going to be mid 40s, maybe up to $50,000, but they'll probably keep it under $50,000. And then I'm guessing this Nismo version is probably going to be like mid 50s, and then maybe fully loaded somewhere around $60,000, which is a lot of money, but that's not a crazy amount where it's completely unaffordable. I mean, I feel like that's attainable, right? If you work really hard your whole life, I feel like that's an amount of money that is attainable to where, like I said, a person with a regular job would be able to afford one. But yeah, I don't want this video to be too long. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this prototype, what you think about Nissan, you know, kind of slyly releasing the Nismo version without officially releasing it, and what you think about the new Z overall, and if you're planning on getting one or if you're going to wait for the Nismo, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I will see all of you in the next video.